Let's focus on the most important things first. The most important thing is cutting out the bad stuff. Next after that is making sure you eat the right stuff. If you just cut out the bad stuff, you're going to be eating the right stuff. Because you got to be eating something. If you're not eating bad, you're going to be eating good. It's fairly black and white, although it's not always that simple. But we're going to focus on cutting out the bad stuff. A lot of people say to me, well, Brian, there are so many different diets out there. Nobody can figure out what to do food-wise. And I always say that's not true. Because every single diet agrees on a few things. Every single good diet that's out there agrees on a few things. One of those things is sugar. I don't think you can find a single diet plan for me that advocates eating really high amounts of sugar. Whether someone's vegan or paleo or this or that or high protein or low protein or high fat, high carb, high fiber, low fiber. Nobody's going to tell you to eat a lot of sugar and you'll be healthier from it. So the first thing we're going to cut out, or severely cut down, but cut out completely for the first 10 days at least, is sugar. Now what does that include? That's all processed forms of sugar. That's the obvious stuff. Any kind of cereal, sugary cereal, any kind of cereal period, unless it's a hot cereal that's nothing but oats or ground up brown rice or buckwheat or different ground up grains like that. That's the only good quote unquote cereal that you can eat, because you put water in and you cook it just like oatmeal or rice or something like that. But any cereal that you put into a bowl and you add milk is going to be unhealthy because it's highly processed. Even cereals like Fiber One and Total and Cheerios that are supposed to be healthy for you, they're unhealthy because they're so processed. We're going to get into that. I'm getting a little ahead of myself. But sugar is what you want to cut out. So if it's a sugary cereal, like Frosted Flakes or Frosted Mini Wheats or Honey Nut Cheerios, those are really obvious. You can't have those on the first 10 days of the challenge. That might be tough for people that eat those a lot, but you really got to cut those out. That's going to make a huge impact on how much fat your body can hold on to. It may not make an immediate impact, but over the long haul it's going to make a big impact. Sugar feeds cancer cells. You got to understand that. If you don't know that, you really need to be up to date on that. Eating sugar intensifies the power that cancer cells have to grow in your body. So eating loads of processed sugar is one of the worst things you can do for your longevity, because you're increasing your chances of getting cancer. Some people say, well, everything is cancerous. And again, that's obviously not true. We're finding out that a lot more things cause cancer that we didn't know about before, but that doesn't mean everything causes cancer. Sugar, for sure, not always causes cancer, but increases somebody's chances of getting some kind of cancer, because it accelerates the growth of cancerous cells in your body. Cancer cells are very receptive to sugar. Sugar also changes your blood sugar, and when you mess with the blood sugar, you mess with the insulin. And when you mess with insulin, you start to affect your body's ability to either hold on to or release fat. Sugar is a bad thing no matter which way you look at it. You really want to cut out the sugar, and that really shouldn't be a surprise to anybody watching this video. Maybe you just need to hear it from me. Maybe you needed to hear it this one more time in order to finally take that step and take it out. All right, now what's the next thing you want to focus on? Processed carbohydrates. Any kind of bread is going to be a processed carbohydrate. There are a few, very few healthier kinds of bread, but most, probably 95% of the breads out there are not going to be healthy. Even if it's a gluten-free bread, that's still not healthy. And again, you can do some research on gluten-free grains and products like that and see what they cause health-wise in people. And if you eat a lot of them, you might still realize you feel really bad when you eat them. So cut out the processed carbs. Bread is typically going to be a processed carb. Some of the sprouted breads are okay, and there are some other fresh breads you might get, maybe fresh baked breads that you get that day. But for this challenge, we're going to have zero bread, because all bread is a processed carbohydrate, because it has to be processed in order to be created. Chips, any kind of chips, tortilla chips, potato chips, any kind of crackers, saltines. Even if you think eating a saltine is eating nothing, it's not. It affects your blood sugar and insulin. Got to cut that stuff out. Any kind of candy, that should be obvious. Chocolate, ice cream, desserts, any of that stuff, that should be obvious. There's hidden sugar in certain things like ketchup and barbecue sauce, so you got to look at any of your sauces that you use before you put them on your food. That's not so obvious, so you really got to look at that and check it out. Look at the label of all the food that you buy and see if there's sugar in there. If there's sugar in there, you do not want to have it for the first 10 days at least. Some natural sugar is okay here and there, but we're really trying to kick this sugar habit that you have going, that you've had going probably since you were a baby, especially if you had any kind of infant formula, because that has sugar in it and that gets you addicted that fast. Sugar has been compared in terms of its addiction to cocaine and heroin. Okay, so enough about sugar right now. We'll go ahead and end this video and we'll pick up with the next one.